Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I am back with part 2 of my makeup collection videos for 2019. So my first one was on my single eyeshadows, which are here, and I've already added to that collection, so yeah, that's a different story. But today I'm going to talk about all of my eyeshadow palettes. So these are eyeshadow palettes. These are eyeshadow palettes, and then this little basket over here, those are all full of eyeshadow palettes. So I do have quite a bit. I'm going to just kind of run through them as quickly as possible. Even this video might end up having to be a two-parter because I don't want it to get too long and out of hand. But we will start with the first one. This is just a little tiny palette by Pixie that is... let's see, it's called Silver Sky. I picked this up at TJ Maxx. So it's just a nice cool tone palette. It's got some grays and blues, this really nice kind of taupe color. It's got a cream color. Just a really nice little palette. I think it was like $3 or $4 at TJ Maxx. So I'm glad I picked it up. My daughter's gotten into this, so you can see it's kind of a mess, but I do like that. Okay, this next one is a recent addition to, if I can, sorry, I'm going to have issues getting myself straight here. This is a recent addition to my collection. This is the Jouer Ultra Foil eyeshadow palette. This is a really beautiful palette. This was on sale recently for, I think I paid... It was already on sale for I think $20 or something, and then I got 40% off, or $25 and I got 40% off. I don't know, I want to say I paid in the $15 range for this. Really a beautiful foiled lid shade palette, I should say, lid color palette. Just really a beautiful palette, so it's got some nice colors in it. I might end up doing a full video on this one just because it is such a kind of unique, nice palette. Okay, next one I've got is the Anastasia Sultry. So I just showed you this in a haul recently. This is just a really beautiful cool tone palette. So that's what she looks like. And I just recently picked this up and I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. Okay, moving right along, we've got another Anastasia palette. This is the Norvina palette. So this is just a really beautiful purple, pink, toned palette. Really beautiful shimmers. These shimmers in these Anastasia palettes are just they're gorgeous. Such a beautiful formula. Okay, and then these next series of palettes, these two over here, and then these 5 here, these are going to be all of my Too Faced palettes. So I do have the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette, which I absolutely love. This is a really beautiful palette. This is a really beautiful formula. It's just got a gorgeous shade selection in here. Just a few mattes, but all just really your essentials, and then lid shades. So really love this palette. Next palette I have is the Too Faced Semi-Sweet. And I don't use this palette a whole lot. I've had it for quite a while. This is kind of a dead shade. It's one of those weird topper colors, but this is a nice, you know, kind of neutral palette with some cool tones in it. I do enjoy that. I can't bring myself to get rid of any of my Too Faced palettes because I love these so much. This is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. So this is the one that is, this one I would say is more cool toned than any of the other ones. Again, haven't used this a ton, but I do love it all the same. Okay, next one is my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. So this is a beautiful palette. I love these warm, kind of rusty, peachy tones. This is just such a beautiful summer palette, so I love this. And of course, these palettes smell so good. Okay, next one is my Too Faced Original Chocolate Bar palette. This is just a beautiful neutral palette. I just love this with a little pop of color in here. Really, really beautiful palette. Next one, this is one of my favorite Too Faced palettes. This is the Clover palette. And this is just a gorgeous palette. I feel like this one was really underrated. these colors, the shades in here, I'm going to do a video on this one just doing a look with it because it's just such a fun palette, and you know, I don't think it got a lot of hype, and actually maybe I won't do a video because I do think it was a limited edition. I'll check the Too Faced website. If it's still available on there, I will do a video. If not, then we'll just call it good with this, but really beautiful palette. Okay, and then another one of my favorite Too Faced palettes is my Too Faced Gingerbread palette. This is just a beautiful warm toned palette. Really, really reminiscent of fall with these beautiful, like, just beautiful jewel tones. Yeah, I just love it. These two shades together, if you layer these together in the crease, are stunning. Okay, next I have a couple of palettes here. These are cargo palettes. So this one I love, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. I bought this just for the packaging because I'm originally from the Seattle area, and this has a kind of a Seattle theme. It's got the Space Needle. So I did pick this up for that. This is called the Emerald City Eyeshadow Palette. Of course, Seattle is known as the Emerald City, so yeah, I picked this up because of that, but I really do enjoy this palette. It's got a really beautiful shade selection in here. The formula on this is really, really beautiful. I had this and another one of my cargo palettes in a video that I did about underrated palettes because, yeah, I don't think that these palettes get enough love, and these are really beautiful. You're not going to get a huge, like, impactful look out of this. It is definitely more of like a satin formula, so it's going to be, you know, subtle and neutral, but I like that sometimes. Okay, next cargo palette. This is the Vintage Escape Eyeshadow Palette, and I love this one. This one just reminds me of fall. It's got really beautiful colors in here, and the names on these: rustic, withered leaves, autumn, cinnamon, twigs, crisp. I just love this. Harvest moon. Just a really beautiful eyeshadow palette. Same formula as the Emerald City eyeshadow palette. Okay, and then we're going to get into a bunch of Bad Habit palettes. I have a whole bunch of Bad Habit palettes. So the first one is the Aura palette. This is the dupe for the Anastasia Prism palette. And this is a really beautiful, beautiful dupe if you wanted that palette, but you don't want to pay the $42 for it, or I don't think it's even available anymore. I think it was limited edition, but you still can get this on the Shop Hush website or the Bad Habit website. But this just is a really beautiful, unique selection of colors. Next one I have is the Retro Love palette. So again, another dupe for the Anastasia Subculture. So if the Subculture didn't work for you, or you just don't want to invest that kind of money in it, and I believe it's not available anymore even, you can still pick this palette up at Shop Hush or the Bad Habit website. So love these palettes. Really, really beautiful formula on these. This is the Sahara palette, and this I think is a dupe for a Kylie Cosmetics palette. I don't keep up with Kylie Cosmetics at all, so I'm not totally sure which palette this would be a dupe for, but I do love this palette. Really beautiful warm tone palette, and it was like 10 bucks, so can't beat that. Okay, next one I have, this is the Amazonia palette, and this is often paired with that Sahara palette. Again, another dupe for a Kylie Cosmetics palette, but yeah, I just love the shade selection in here. It's really unique, really beautiful. Really good formula on this. I just love these Bad Habit palettes. Oh, sorry, these are Face Candy. So the first two I showed you were Bad Habit. I'm sorry. I confuse myself quite a bit, as you've probably already noticed. The Sahara palette and the Amazonian, these are Face Candy palettes. These are the only Face Candy palettes that I do own, and I really love the formula on these. They do remind me a lot of the Bad Habit formula, so really nice palettes. And then the next 5, these are going to be all of my Bad Habit Cult palettes. So these are the dupes for the Pat McGrath palettes. So this is the Cult Mystery palette. I've been getting a lot of comments on the video that I did on these recently. And people asking me to kind of rank them or talk more about the formula, things like that. This is the Mythos palette. Yeah, and I love these palettes. I did get a comment from somebody saying that they did not work for her. She did not enjoy them. This is the Mayhem palette. These are just really, really beautiful. And I've seen a lot of videos from people that do own Pat McGrath palettes that say that these are really, really good dupes. So this is the Mania palette. Really, really beautiful. And the last one, which is the Mystics palette. This is the cool toned one. So yeah, I'm super glad I have these. I love these palettes. They perform beautifully for me. So yeah. Okay, this is a palette that is a dupe for, and you'll see these are kind of all of my dupe palettes. This is a palette that I have that is a dupe for the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I did order this off of the, I think it's, I have the app. It's the Juno app, Juno & Co. app. And that is where I picked this up. Now, when I first picked this up, I did not think that I was going to enjoy this. I swatched it and I wasn't super impressed with the formula, but recently I have been using this, and this is a beautiful palette. This performs really, really well. I couldn't speak to how it is as far as a dupe for the Born to Run palette, but just standing alone, this is a really beautiful palette, and it was like $10 or something. Okay, next two palettes are going to be my Colored Rain palette. So this is my Queen of Hearts. I keep the outer box because the outer box is so stunning, and this is one of my favorite palettes of life. Such a beautiful shade selection, such a beautiful formula. They are doing, as of this current filming, they are doing a buy one, get one free on this palette. So if you've not picked that up, I highly, highly recommend it. Okay, next is my Cheers to the Beauty palette. Again, I keep the outer packaging just because they're so beautiful. This is what the inside of Cheers to the Beauty looks like. Just a really beautiful primary color palette, basically. I love these. I love the formula on these. Okay. So that is it for this little guy. So we'll move on to the big one here. So I've got some Huda palettes. This is another Bad Habit palette. This is an Arabesque palette. This is a dupe for the Soft Glam palette. Sorry, my dog just sneezed and scared the heck out of me. And it just got all over my hand. So I actually sold this and shipped it out, and somebody, when they got it, apparently the black had shattered, so it got sent back to me. At this point, I'm just going to hang on to it. Even though I'm not crazy about the shade selection in this, it doesn't look great on me, but I am going to hang on to it. So yeah, there's that. So this little guy, this is a little quad, and this is from LA Colors. I picked this up at Dollar General for $1, and these are beautiful shadows. These perform really well. This is just a nice, easy little quad. Throw these two in the crease, throw a shimmer on the lid, boom, done. Beautiful, beautiful little palette, great quality. On the side here, I've got this little Tarte palette. This is the Rainforest of the Sea eyeshadow palette. This did come in a BoxyCharm, so that's what it looks like. This is a really unique formula. Again, not going to get like a super, you know, shiny look or anything on your eyes with this. It is quite neutral, quite soft. But I really like the formula, and I don't have anything else with that kind of formula. So it's kind of like a cross between a cream formula and like a powder formula. It's very strange. Okay, this is a little Essence palette that I just picked up not long ago. It's called Fairy Wings and Magical Things, and I have not tried this yet. I'm waiting for spring because, as you can see, it's got a very spring-like color story in here. So really pretty pastels. I'm really excited to use that this spring. This is my Desi and Katie, my Dose of Colors Desi and Katie palette. Friendcation palette. I absolutely love this palette. It is stunning. Okay. Got another Bad Habit palette. This is the Artistry. This is a dupe for the Anastasia and Mario palette that is not available anymore. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely still pick up this Artistry palette. There is a YouTuber here named Mariah, and she actually owns this palette as well as the Mario palette, and she said that this is a really, really good dupe for it. So yeah, I'm really glad I have that. Okay, next couple are Makeup Revolution palettes. So this is just a, this is the Reloaded Basic Mattes palette. I love this. I use this palette all the time, because it's just got such a nice selection of just matte shades. So I use this, and then I'll go in with like this Jouer palette for a lid shade, but use this for all my mattes. This is just really nice. And then I also have another all mattes palette, and this is a dupe for the Kat Von D. This was huge controversy. She got really mad when she found out that Makeup Revolution duped her palette, but yeah, and I own this one. I do not own the Shade and Light palette, but I do own this one. This is the all matte one, and I use this occasionally. I don't use it a ton. It's got a neutral, a cool toned, and a warm toned kind of shade selection in here. I definitely use my Reloaded palette more than this. Okay, moving right along, more Makeup Revolution palettes. These next ones I absolutely love. This is the Soph X Extra Spice palette. So that is what she looks like. Just gorgeous, gorgeous fall. Kind of reminds me of the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. Just really beautiful. Next one is just the original Soph X palette. This is, oops, still have the oh yeah, I kept the plastic sheet because it's got the names on it, but this is what the original looks like. Really, really beautiful palette. I love the formula on this guy too. So, yeah. Okay, next one I have is, I believe, the Tammy. Yeah, Makeup Revolution Makeup by Tammy palette. This is a really beautiful palette as well. Also had to keep the sheet with the names on it. I love this. This reminds me of a tropical vacation. Like, I need to get on a boat and go somewhere in the Bahamas. Like, I love this palette so much. It's so beautiful. Next one, this is another one I got in the BoxyCharm Boxy Luxe box. This is the Violet Voss Pro. This is the Holy Grail palette, so that's what she looks like. This is a really beautiful palette. This formula doesn't last on my eyes very well. This is not one that I can wear to work. This is not going to hang with me for 14 hours. So even though I do love this palette, I love the shade selection in here. Yeah, it's one I can really only wear on my days off. Okay, next are all my Profusion palettes. I just did whole videos on each one of these, so I'm just going to go through these real quick. This is the Sienna's palette. This is the Temptress palette. This is the Infatuation palette, the Wanderlust palette, and the Pro Pigment palette. Love my Profusion palettes. I just got an email saying that they came out with a new spring collection, and I took a peek at those, and there are some gorgeous palettes. So super excited about the spring stuff. Okay, these are two palettes that I picked up from a company called C Color Cosmetics. I heard about this company from Hot Mess Mama MD here on YouTube. These are dupes for the Dominique Cosmetics palettes. These were $13.99 a piece. I think this is a dupe for the Latte palette. Really beautiful formula, really nice. And then this is a dupe for the Lemonade palette. The pans on these are huge. I mean, huge. You can see here's the size of my thumb. It basically just fits like in the corner of one of these shadows. They're so big. So glad to have picked those up. They were really affordable. I personally would not have paid the huge price tag for the Dominique Cosmetics ones just because the colors in there are not unique enough for me to want to spend that kind of money on them, but I am glad that there's a cheaper alternative. So, Okay, moving along to some Huda Beauty palettes. I do have the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions palette, and this is what she looks like. I love these little palettes. They're beautiful. The Ruby Obsessions palette. Again, I have full videos on these, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. And then I also have the Emeralds Obsessions palette, just not in front of me right now. Okay, this is a dupe. This is another C Color Cosmetics palette. This is a dupe for the Coral Obsessions palette, and this is just really beautiful. So, and it was like $6.99. Okay, I have the Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions palette here. I love this one. This is just a really beautiful neutral palette, and her shimmer formula is stunning. And then I also have the Mauve Obsessions palette. So those are my Huda Beauty palettes. I've got a bunch of little Wet n Wild palettes here. This is from the Dragon collection. This is the shade Fit for a Queen. Really beautiful Wet n Wild palettes. This is a City Mini palette. This is a Maybelline City Mini palette, and this is in the colorway Downtown Sunrise. Just really beautiful. It's got some beautiful, really sparkly shimmers in this. I actually wore this yesterday on Valentine's Day. Okay, I have another little, this is another Dragon Fire Dragon versus Ice Dragon Wet n Wild collection. This is called Dragon Scales. And then I also have another one. This is called, this is just from their regular permanent line, or permanent collection. And this is called Hooked on Vinyl or something, I think. Very reminiscent of like Subculture to me. So, and those are really, really great quality. I love those. Okay. I'm going to do a full video on this guy still. This is the Lime Crime Venus XL2 palette. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. Again, full video coming soon on that. Okay, this should have probably been included with my single shadows, but this is from, these are all from a brand called Aroma Lee Cosmetics, and they're just a whole bunch of little single shadows. I might do a whole video on these because these are really interesting. They've got really beautiful names, and I just ordered like little samples of different collections before I went ahead and ordered full sizes of any of these, which I probably never will need to because those are loose and they will last forever. So, okay, moving right along. I hope this isn't getting too long. Yeah, this is going to end up having to be a two-parter. Okay, so the next little palette I have here is this Tarteist Pro To Go. So I did own the full-size Tarteist Pro palette. I did give that to my mom because it was an all-matte palette with just a few shimmers, and I wasn't able to get it to work without completely mudding up on my eyes. So I picked up this little guy though, and this is such good quality. This is such a good little travel palette because you really can get a whole bunch of different looks out of this. You can do, you know, like a burgundy look, you can do a bronze, you can do like a gold, 3 mattes, 3 shimmers, really a beautiful little Tarte palette. Next I've got this Ulta Beauty. This is, it doesn't have a name on it, but it's this little palette. Now, if you ever come across these palettes on Ulta's website, definitely grab them because these are fantastic quality. I absolutely love these shimmers. They're really, really foiled. This is just a little Z palette that I have. I'm going to do Z palette separately, so actually I'm going to put this aside because I do have 2 other, not Z palettes, but, you know, single shadow palettes that I will do a separate video on. I have the ColourPop Mar palette. I want the Soul one as well because I love these palettes. These are the $12 palettes, and these are the best quality. This one's kind of hard to get it open though. But these are the best quality. And they're about the size, these shadows are about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit smaller, so yeah, it would take a while to get through these, but I just love these palettes. I think they're beautiful. These are the Wet n Wild palettes that I have. These are all from their regular line. These are the ones that I've held on to. This is called Not a Basic Peach. Really, really beautiful. These are great quality. These are way better quality than the ones they just came out with. This is the new Comfort Zone. This is my favorite. Such a gorgeous formula on that. And this is Rosé in the Air. This is a dupe for the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Really beautiful alternative. Okay, moving right along. This is a palette that I just picked up recently. This is the Mallywood palette. This is a really beautiful kind of pink tone, peachy pink palette. Really beautiful formula on that guy. These are two more palettes from the Shop Hush website. This is from a brand called Okalon, and these are called Liquid Metal eyeshadows, and these are cream eyeshadows, and these are stunning. The formula on these are gorgeous, just absolutely gorgeous. So this is the more warm tone palette, and this is the more cool tone palette, and I had a casualty with the purple here. You can see they've got slots here where you can just pop these pans out if you wanted to. I don't. I just leave them where they're at. Okay, this is another face candy palette. This is the Atlantis palette, and this is the one that they came out with after Tarte kind of did that April Fool's joke a couple of years back, and April Fool's was kind of on them because they gave everybody the idea, and then people started making their own palettes, and then Face Candy actually came out with a dupe of that palette, and this is fantastic quality. This is it's so pigmented that sometimes I have a hard time working with it because I tend to go ham with eyeshadows, and that one is really packs a punch. Okay, this is one of my Juvia's Place. This is the Saharan palette. This is absolutely stunning. Juvia's Place makes some of my absolute favorite eyeshadows. Their formula is just fantastic. Their shades are beautiful. I absolutely love the artwork on these palettes. I just think that Juvia's Place does such a good job. Okay, next is the BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. I got this last year. I love this. This is a fun palette and definitely appropriate for festival season. Okay, another BH Cosmetics palette. This is the Aurora Lights palette. This is stunning. These shades, these are so foiled and just gorgeous. I absolutely love this palette. I used to have all of the kind of galaxy themed palettes by BH Cosmetics. I did end up decluttering those, but that one I absolutely love. Okay, I've got the Makeup Revolution, the Emily Edit, the Wants palette. This is a huge palette. I absolutely love this palette. I just, Emily Noel is one of my favorite YouTubers because she's so down to earth. She loves makeup and she loves her children, and that is me summed up. Basically, I love makeup and my daughter is the center of my universe, so I just love this because it kind of reminds me of that all the time. So, but this is just a beautiful palette too. I know it got mixed reviews, but for me, I love this palette. Okay, this is another BH Cosmetics palette. This is the Modern Mattes palette, and I love this. It's just got some beautiful matte shades in it. Really some gorgeous, unique matte shades that I love pulling for this when I need a palette to pair with an all shimmer palette. Okay, this I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on because I'll do a full video on this when it gets closer to the time that Coastal Scents does their 99-cent Hot Pot sale, because that's when the best time to pick these up. But these are all my favorite shades from the Coastal Scents singles, and I have some really good ones. I absolutely love this palette. Okay, this is a Morphe palette. This is my 35M. This is the Boss Mood. Okay, this is the Boss Mood palette, and yeah, this, I think I did a full video on this palette as well. It's really, really beautiful. I absolutely love those top 2 rows of the greens. Really beautiful. There's some really unique green shades in there. So, love that palette. The next couple of palettes I have are from a brand called Be Bella Cosmetics, and I never hear anybody talk about these, but they do dupes as well. This is the B35C, and apparently this is a dupe for the, I think the very first palette that Jaclyn Hill did with Morphe. So, yeah, you can't get your hands on that anymore, but I think you can probably still buy this, and there are just some really beautiful shades in here. This green is really gorgeous. This kind of orchid color is gorgeous. I've got some weird oil like going on right here. I'm not totally sure what that's from. I haven't used this in a while, but anyways, really beautiful. Kind of, I would say it's probably from, probably out of the same factory that Morphe used to make theirs or whatever. But really beautiful. And then this is a palette called Silent Night, and I got this before Bad Habit came out with the Subculture dupe, and I wanted something that had Subculture-esque colors in it, so I found this, and I thought this was a good alternative to it. This is just a really beautiful, like, fall vibes palette. And the formula on these are really good. I really enjoy those. Okay. This is a disappointment. This, so after this Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette launched, and it sold out, this is the only time I've been burned by somebody posting fake makeup as real. They even had a picture, it was probably a fake picture of an invoice that was supposedly from Morphe where they had ordered 2 palettes. So here I thought I was buying a real palette. I got it. This palette is completely fake. So this is like a fake Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. I don't use it because I don't know if it's like, you know, a fake, since it's not a dupe and it's an actual counterfeit palette. I don't use this because, again, I'm not sure. I know that counterfeit makeup can be actually dangerous. So anyways, I don't use this. And yeah, so I never buy makeup off of eBay or Mercari or anything like that. Well, I'll buy some makeup off of Mercari, but like definitely not eBay because there are so many counterfeits on there. And yeah, this is the one time that I got completely burned. So yeah, that just hangs out back there. I don't use it. Okay, and then we're almost at the end here. I know I have so many eyeshadow palettes, so we're down to just these few. This is another Juvia's Place palette. I absolutely love this. This is the Mini Masquerade palette. This is such a fun, colorful eyeshadow palette, and again, the formula on this is just stunning. Okay, yeah, I don't even have room for all my palettes. Okay, this is another like custom palette of mine. This has a whole bunch of different shadows in here. I'm going to do a video just on my single shadows, and I will talk about what brands these are. I'll swatch everything out for you. So yeah. And then this is a single shadow, but these are all ColourPop shadows. So these are, most of these are quads. I think all of them actually. These are all quads. They came in quads, and then I just took them out and put them in here. And then these are from a brand that I bought from Etsy. Again, I'll go through all those in another video. Okay, so next I have this Blink. This was a BoxyCharm palette, and the formula on these are, oh gosh, they're so good. So this is such a good palette to pair with like the Makeup Revolution Reloaded palette. And then I've got a couple e.l.f. palettes. This is the Modern Metals, and I've used this once. This is a really beautiful palette, and the formula on this is really, really good. Next is another e.l.f. This is the Mad for Matte eyeshadow palette, and this is in the colorway Summer Breeze. So these are kind of hard to get open. So that's what that looks like. It used to be called something else, I can't remember. I think it was just Matte for Matte 2, but now they're calling it Summer Breeze. Really beautiful all matte palette. Okay, and then all the next few, like 5 or 6 palettes are all my ColourPop palettes. So this is the Give It To Me Straight palette. This is one of my favorites. I think I've owned at some point almost all of the ColourPop palettes, and then some of them I've decluttered, and then these are the ones that I've definitely kept. This is the Zodiac palette that Kathleen Lights just did not too long ago, maybe a year ago. Love these. Okay, next is the Femme Rosa, and this is, I think you say her name, Karuchi, the She palette. Really beautiful, warm, rosy tones in here. Rosy pinks and purples. Really beautiful. Okay, the next one is the Kathleen Lights Dream Street palette. Love this. Really, really beautiful. Okay, next is the Yes Please palette. I love this. Beautiful warm toned summery palette. Get a beautiful sunset eye look with this palette. And then my most recent ColourPop edition is the Rendezvous palette. And this is a really beautiful palette. Okay. Moving on to another Bad Habit palette. This is the Supernova palette. This is a dupe for, I want to say, the Natasha Denona Lila palette, I think. Yeah. Either the Lila or the other kind of purple tone palette that she's got, but this is a really beautiful palette. Again, I've had at one point all of the Bad Habit palettes, and some of them I've decluttered. Okay, so this is a palette by Model's Own. This is the Barely There 2 eyeshadow palette, and this is beautiful. This has got a gorgeous shade selection, and it's a really beautiful formula. So I need to check and see if Ulta still even carries Model's Own anymore. Okay, next two are Pretty Vulgar palettes. So this is the Pretty Vulgar Phoenix Rising palette. I love this. Beautiful warm tone palette. This is another one. This is a Emily Noel recommendation, so definitely pick that up. I love it. And then the next one is from BoxyCharm. So this is the Nightingale palette, and this is just a really beautiful smoky cool tone palette. And I love these. The formula on these are beautiful. Okay, another BoxyCharm palette. This is the Alamar Cosmetics palette. This is a stunning palette. The formula on this, is incredible. Just really a beautiful summer palette. I mean, really, you could wear these any time of the year, but in my mind, I've got palettes that are for spring, summer, fall, and winter, so. Okay, and then this is the old Morphe Kathleen Lights palette. This is the first palette she ever did with Morphe. This is the real deal, not a fake like that one. This one is the real deal. I love this palette. This one's really beautiful. So there's that. I've got the Too Faced Life's a Festival palette. I absolutely love this palette. Ooh, my daughter's been in here. Gorgeous palette. She loves it too because of the unicorn. These are just really beautiful. Some of these are really beautiful duochromes. Some are just really unique. You can see the holograph going on in the background, and then this is a highlighter, which I do not use because it is very, very blue toned, but really beautiful nonetheless. So that's what the highlight looks like. I love this palette, and I've seen people picking this up at TJ Maxx, which is awesome. Okay, and then last but not least is this Melissa Michelle and Ulta Beauty palette. This is the second one she did. This is the Bling on the Glam palette. This is a gorgeous palette. It comes with this really pretty glitter liner, and then I just love the beautiful blush and mauve pink shades. And these glitters on the side are sick. I mean, these are some of the most beautiful glitters, and then this green is like a really beautiful gold toned green. So really, really beautiful palette. I love that. So anyways, guys, that's it for my eyeshadow palette collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful for you. If you have not yet subscribed, please do. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.